Right, so this next topic is on the 8 rules of life. And I know rules is sort of like a big sort of like word. Maybe you can use maxims, maybe guides. But these things are developed through sort of like my life so far and what I think I can sort of give value back to you guys in terms of enriching you a bit better. So this presentation is based on these 5 key points. First one, a bit about me. I know you guys know me already, but I'm just going to give you some context, or you think you know me. Then I'm going to go into the 8 rules, then key takeaways, food for thought, and if we have time for questions, then we'll go through it. So a little bit about me. So I think a lot of this stems from my childhood. So some of you may have known that my father left when I was 7 years old. I'm still in sort of like a good relationship with him, but what that meant is that I needed to sort of develop the right sort of like, I would say, initiative and leadership skills pretty early on in my life. So, you know, mother was quite dependent on me in certain instances, but obviously I was dependent upon her. Sister definitely looks to me as I don't know, the go-to person. And I think with those things in my sort of life, I started to develop a way of doing stuff. Now, at the age of 14, I thought I wanted to be an architect. You know, I liked drawing, I loved creative stuff, I loved all of that sort of stuff. And I went for work experience and I realized that actually this is boring. I don't want to do any of this stuff. And I started to think about, you know, what do I really want to do? How can I make an impact? How can I make money? How can I have that sort of like status that I really wanted? And I thought medicine was the answer. So I spent 10 years trying to get into medicine, if you think about it, from the age of 14, 15 up until 24, 25. And I made the decision that actually I'm not going to do this anymore because I want to focus on putting my life in the right sort of trajectory. Now, why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you because it developed 3 key things that I think has helped me be the man I am today. And I'm still growing as a person. It's helped me, number 1, be resilient, okay? So making sure that I'm in a situation where even if the environment is harsh, I still have it within me to do what I need to do, okay? Not being deterred. 2, it's enabled me to be super resourceful. There are certain things that I can't do. I can't code like Chima, or I can't, you know, do certain things that other people can do. But I know WordPress and I know other things, and I can watch YouTube and do all these other things that make me a resourceful person. But also testing my reality and questioning whether what I say I want to do, is it realistic? Is it practical? Is there something in there that enables me to actually do it? And question myself all the time. And that's where I developed understand, reach, expand. Understand thyself and understand others, okay? And once you get that basis understanding, then you can start developing the right sort of approach, methodologies, and strategies to get to where you need to get to. And once you're at that platform, then you can start expanding and looking big. So with that in mind, I started to think about maxims or rules or whatever it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the 8 rules. If you do want to take notes, that'd be great. If you don't, that's up to you. So first thing, I know we've got this definition here, but what does this mean to people?
Let people know how you feel.
Okay, let people know how you feel. Yeah.
Align yourself with the right people.
Yeah. What's the right people though?
Where you want to be.
Being around people that reinforce who you want to become.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. So all of these different definitions define what appropriate is. Now, I'm not necessarily saying get rid of anyone. I'm not saying, you know, say you need to run away or whatever. I'm saying you need to align yourself with people who align with your values, okay? People who are going to be honest with you. People who are going to obviously, again, reinforce certain values that you want to adopt in your world. Because at the end of the day, if you have people around you who are not willing to necessarily provide value, and it doesn't have to be materialistic, it doesn't have to be tangible, it just needs to be a person who is honest, I think, and 2, provides joy. Those are the 2 sort of things for me, at least. There are probably many other criteria, but honesty and joy are simple things that enable someone to be appropriate in my life. When I started to do this, a lot more happened for me, and I didn't feel as stressed, should I say. Sometimes we create unnecessary stresses just by the people we have in our lives. The second thing is honesty, okay? I think this year or last year, I defined this year as the year of honest impact. So every single year I have a theme. And what honesty means to me is making sure that I am true to myself. And that requires you to do a lot of stuff. You know, you need to be really introspective and do things and experience different things and talk to different people to realize what you actually like and what you don't like and what you're willing to compromise. Because with that in mind, if you can create those scenarios in your head, then you're less likely going to be wasting your time. And, you know, we don't want to waste our time. If you treat your time like money, you're more likely going to, you know, treat it seriously and invest it in the right ways. So being brutally honest to yourself is important. So I like to say you need to refrain, okay? Stop, basically, reflect, think about what you need to do, and then respond, rather than just being responsive straight away. Third thing, who's heard me say this before? No one? I'm surprised. Fucking hell, at least 2 people. I fucking wrote a book. Commit to a cause. Commit to a cause. Who feels like they're committing to a cause at the moment? Okay.
Trying.
You're trying. What are you trying to commit to?
What my purpose is.
Okay, so you're finding your purpose at the moment. And that's committing to a cause. Because you're committing to the process of trying to find your purpose. Okay? And purpose is an interesting point because some people believe that purpose is given to them. Some people also believe that you find your purpose yourself. Okay? That's up to you to decide. That's the choice that we've been given in this life. But committing to a cause, I believe, comes down to the last point. Honesty. Really knowing yourself. Okay? And that can come in an array of different sort of like factors. That comes down to understanding your context, your background, your culture, your history, knowing your preferences, i.e. what you like and don't like, and then focusing or using that information to then decide, actually, this is who I am as a person. I need to start crafting my actions, my activities, and my habits in order to fulfill this aligned desire or outcome or whatever it is. So really understanding yourself allows you to commit to a cause because it has meaning. This is where everyone gets the why from, because if you have context, then you can actually take action. So start thinking about things that you can solve based on the context of your life. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. The fourth thing, so once you've, number one, aligned yourself with the right people, because really that's an environmental thing. 2, you start to be brutally honest with yourself, and 3, you commit to a cause. Part of that commitment comes down to a plan of attack. Now, we had this conversation before. I know we had this conversation, Chima. We had this conversation, Michael. We've all had this conversation in some sort of capacity. And basically, we don't need to like overplan. It's not necessary. But there needs to be some basics, okay? There needs to be some sort of aim or goal. Some basic aim or goal. It doesn't have to necessarily be high in the sky. It doesn't necessarily have to be small. It just needs to be a goal. And with that, there has to be some defining milestones or objectives, big or small, that helps you along the way. And if you have the time, write out a task list. If you don't know what the task list is, just do some research. Sometimes when we think of research, we think, oh, it's this big laborious exercise where you have to spend weeks trying to understand the ins and outs of a certain system or whatever it is. But sometimes it's just a quick 5-minute Google search. It doesn't have to be in depth. The whole point of the planning stage is to invoke and invigorate action. That's all it is. It sets you up. So in some instances, you may not even need to plan at all. It just better prepares you depending on your level of comfortability, but you don't want to stay in there for too long. Okay? So break it up, have it in your objectives, and then get someone to check it. Now here, I've got Agile and Lean. Who's heard of Agile methodology?
Okay.
Yeah? So basically, it's come from a very sort of simple cycle that has been used for years. It's called the PDCA cycle. It stands for plan, do, check, and assess. Okay? And Lean and Agile really heavily focuses on iteration. So and it's very focused on data and results. So once you've actually produced an outcome, look at that data, look at those results, and see if I need to make any sort of tweaks and changes. They call it a pivot within the industry. So that's the sort of mentality you should have, whether that's in a workplace or personal place as well. So this one, take mass imperfect action. I actually got this from a YouTube video probably about 8 years ago, watching some guy. apparently showing me how to make passive income. Okay, and I love this phrase because I've been adopting this in so many different walks of life, and what it means to me is just fucking do it. Like, just do it. Like, just, and I know that that seems so easy to say, but really, like, you don't have to necessarily build yourself up all the time. Do things in fear. You're scared to do it because you're scared of what may go wrong or how you may be seen or whatever it is, but you just need to step into fear and get comfortable experiencing that feeling. And that's what taking mass imperfect action is, because it's a numbers game, okay? There's a reason why Henry Ford is Henry Ford. He produced results, okay? And he knew that when he got results, he was able to analyze that information in such a way to produce more results that he needed. Now, there's this book called Psycho-Cybernetics by a guy called Maxwell Maltz, I believe. It's an extremely good book for understanding how this whole world works, okay? One of the best originals, in my opinion. And they state in that book that you can't tackle a goal lightly. You can't do it willy-nilly. You need to do it aggressively, and you need to do it with a certain energy and vim. Because if you go in willy-nilly, you're not going to be taken seriously. You know, you're not going to be taken seriously. It's like the exercise that we did today. It's quite clear. I want to say the Nigerians seemed a bit more aggressive, yeah? And they were on it. Whereas the Ghanaians were just like, yeah, you know.
That's not
But
true.
it was true.
That's right.
Today.
Today,
That's right.
I wasn't.
it's true.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm on comment.
That's
So, point being made is
I was
aggressiveness. And don't take aggressiveness for negativity. It means having the right sort of energy, targeted and focused on the right price. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by aggressive, okay? Don't focus on what if, focus on data and results. That's all you need to focus on. Next thing is human psychology. Now, I observe people all the time. Many people observe people, but you need to be quite avid with observing people and understand what their triggers are when it actually comes to why they do what they do. Because if you can understand triggers, there are so many useful benefits to it. There is influence or manipulation. There's leadership or dictatorship, depending on what it is that you're aiming to do. But human psychology is at the basis of getting results. Because if you can maneuver people in the right way and cater towards their needs while catering to yours, that's a match made in heaven. So understand and really sort of get into the detail as to why people do what they do. The seventh thing is master your mind. So basically, this is evolved around making sure that you do activities that exposes you to multiple different environments, okay? So that could be sporting environments, stuff like this, going on holidays, traveling, reading books, going to events. That's how you master your mind, because you're processing information that tells you that I like this, I don't like this, how do I control myself in this situation? That's the best way to do it. And things like prayer, meditation, yoga, all of those things are useful too in terms of, again, training your body to habituate to specific conditions. And the last thing, I put this last because sometimes we put this first. Money is important. No matter what anyone says, it is important because this is the market we live in. This is the market we live in. So we need to get the basics right. If you got stuff to pay off, pay that stuff off really, really quickly if you can. I was about to say shit.
Yeah,
That's just like I'm swearing too much. Pay it off quick, yeah? And think about what methodology you want to use. Are you going to go for the snowballing method? Are you going to focus on, you know, the one that is the highest payment or highest interest? Okay, you've paid off your debts now. What are you doing next? Maybe you want to focus on, you know, developing your career a bit better. As Alice was saying in the last presentation, people needed capital. The biggest problem that most business owners have is that they don't have the capital to actually invest in a real business. That's why they get frustrated when things don't happen. So think about that stuff, think more long term. Then maybe think about how you can, obviously if you get into the habit of saving, that's great, but then you can start thinking about bigger numbers of saving. Then you can start thinking about investing. Then you can start thinking about bigger business. Be systematic about it and don't rush. It's not going anywhere. You've got time. And that's the key thing. You have time, utilize it in the right way. So to recap, number one, focus on appropriate people in your life, not necessarily right people. Number two, be brutally honest to yourself, but also to other people. Number three, learn to commit to a cause by providing context for your life. Number four, plan your attack and really make sure that you understand what you're doing. 5, take mass imperfect action and make sure you're aggressive with your action. Number 6, human psychology is key to most things that you do. Number 7, master your mind by exploring many different experiences in your life. And number 8, remember that money is important. And the last thing I want to say to you is take responsibility of your own happiness. Never put it in other people's hands. Thank you very much.
I was looking at the timer there and I was like, is he really going to get it all in like, on the dot?
Any
about
questions? Just, yeah. No? Okay, cool.
Well, I had one. I thought politics was going to say one.
Oh.
I'm just making sound effects.
Okay.
Out of those 8, is there anything that you're focusing on at the moment? Like in particular?
In particular,
Or are you cycling through all of them at one time?
I would say that one, be honest
Is that being honest to yourself, being honest to others?
to myself.
Okay.
I've been doing that pretty much throughout the whole year.
Cool.
And hence why I've kind of stopped certain things.
Yeah.
And I think also coming back to master your mind.
Cool.
Those are the 2.
What's been the easiest for you to do on that list?
I think planning is easy to do.
Is that because of who you are?
Yeah, who I am as a person.
Right.
Yeah. I'm naturally process driven and strategic. I would like to say human psychology, but that's an ever growing beast. So I'm gonna be quiet on that. But yeah, I think that's the main one.
Cool.
And I recognize the importance of it, because some people just say just do it, which I think is important. But I've seen the result of how effective planning can be, especially if it doesn't have to be right. It just forces you to think a certain way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know.
I also think that a lot of people think planning is taking action when it's to take action.
That's a very good good point.
When it's like,
I said people think planning is taking action, but planning is preparing to take action. It just defines how you're going to take the action. So it's important not to get caught in that planning stage. Because I, for one, am an over planner.
Oh, okay.
So I know how that feels.
I see. Michael, you were gonna say something?
No. Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
But I was also thinking that my mind went to some creative space when you said ex over planner. Because I've never had it all phrased that way.
Oh,
So it's like there must be a society of ex over planners. Well, anyway, random thoughts.
Yeah.
Random
what
thoughts.
would you suggest?
But
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you had a question.
my question is not serious.
Go on, Alice.
Go on, Alice, you go ahead.
What would you suggest to people in terms of like doing stuff outside, or like you suggested like doing sports activities, like what other things would you suggest to people to sort of like get out and meet other people and also to help master their own mind as well?
Oh, Chima.
Can
This
I
is just
contribute to that?
go ahead. Yeah.
After you contribute though,
It's up to you.
go first, it's your presentation.
Okay. I'll just basically see what friends are doing. I think that's an easy option. It doesn't really get you to sort of like force yourself to think about it. See like sort of the events they're going to and everything else. Because I think sometimes what happens is a lot of we've all done this. We put so much emphasis in, oh, we need to find some new friends. We need to find a new network of people. Blah 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 blah. But that's hard to do. That is hard to do. It's hard. Like you can connect with people and blah 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 and everything else, and it could be a genuine friendship and stuff. I'm not saying it's not possible. But there are people around you that you can connect with who probably want to connect with you. So I'd do that first, if anything. Second thing, I would explore things like write down a list. Just write down a list of things that you haven't explored in a long time. Okay, there are certainly some things that we have forgotten because we're focusing on this rat race mentality. So write down a clear list and see if you can actually explore those things after work or on a weekend, or maybe check out a family member or friend and go and do these things. Basics include things like movies, events. That could be specific networking events or events where you have to collaborate with people. Like actually joining a sports team And joining a sports team involves really connecting with people, developing your leadership skills, but also like training your body as well and your mental state. So that covers a lot of stuff. It's just whether you're willing to commit to it. So there's a whole host of stuff, but it's really down to you to utilize what's in here by writing down your list, but utilizing your environment as well.
I'd say as well, like push past the fear of going to places on your own, because you tend to find that there's a good event you want to go to, and then you got no one to go to with you, and you're like, oh well, I don't want to go, and you get nervous on the day, and then you don't go, and then it's pretty shit. But I've found that I've made more friends that way just because you're actually kind of forced to socialize.
But I would never like enter a club or something by myself. Like,
No, I'm not even talking about a club, because I don't even think that's the right environment to me.
yeah.
Depends what you're going to meet people for. But for example, Afro Tech Fest,
Oh yeah.
I wanted to go
okay.
because I bought tickets for someone with my mate. She couldn't make it, but I still went. That's where I met Liz.
She wasn't there.
Oh, okay. Well, she came around Liz. Turns out she's excellent at marketing
Oh, wow.
because she used to be an ex-influencer.
Wow.
So
I never knew there was such a thing, ex-influencer.
yes, so that's
There
really
is.
helpful as well. And one thing I've started doing, is and this could go south.
Let's do it. Say it.
Actually, making friends with my colleagues,
That's
because I found it's very difficult to make friends when you feel like your schedule's really booked up. But if you can tap into some of the networks you currently have, or go into so even if they're like going to an event, even if you don't want to make friends with them, go to an event and go, "We doing this evening? Oh, that sounds cool. Let's go."
yeah.
And then meet people there or something.
I think because you connected your work people, that's already possible.
That's also a very good shout.
But
the-
I do take on board the doing things by yourself.
Yeah, like there's a massive. I know for your industry, like with travel, there's a massive travel community on Twitter.
Yeah.
Massive, and they
Yeah.
have meetups.
Because now everyone's like, we love traveling.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
I've been and I have been to travel meetups by myself.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the faith. Like it took a lot of effort.
okay, cool.
But explore other stuff as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I think that like the fact that what you said about
Oh, sorry.
make a list about things that you haven't explored for a while, like even stuff like drawing or journaling.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
writing,
yeah,
like, that sort of
exactly.
stuff. Like, yeah, no, thanks.
Yeah,
Last
so
question.
my question.
Oh my god,
There's always one class clown. There's always one.
You had a lot of nice pictures in this presentation, but why this picture?
Because it catches your attention.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Oh man, I just found it funny.
To be fair, I think
It's interesting.
that picture kind of resonates with point number 2.
Well, be honest.
with
to
yourself,
be honest.
Why? Explain.
because he chose to wear that.
Why would he, why
That's-
would most people wear something like that?
That's
It's being expressive, isn't it?
Exactly.
okay. That's expressing who he is. He's being honest.
Interesting.
Thank you very much, guys. So who's next on the list?
Me.
Comfort,
Am I
yeah.
four?
Are you
Yeah,
number
yeah.
4?
Yeah, comfort.
Comfort.
And I'm number 5.
Michael, you're last, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Do you have another presentation?
Yeah, because you
Yeah,
did the
it's
one
got
yesterday.
Damn, but I'm waiting for some time. I'd say that's a good presentation.